Joining me today on the Capital Show from the University Club, Mercè Monje Cano. Mercè, you are the Secretary General of the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization, UNPO. You are the most vocal voice representing the voices of unrepresentative groups. Tell us more about your work or what your organization does.
Thank you very much for the question. Thank you for welcoming me here. So the UNPO stands for Unrepresented Peoples Worldwide. We are a global platform, and what we try to do is support peoples and nations that their voices are being not heard. So in most of the cases we work with, we are a global platform, and we work with indigenous peoples like West Papua, for example, but we also work with minorities, such as the case of minorities in Iran, for example. We also work with occupied territories like the Crimean Tatars, but we also have non-recognized states like Taiwan. All of them are very different, but they are united because they lack of representation at national and international level, and because of that, in most of the cases, their rights are not being represented. So what we do is we provide a platform of solidarity among all these peoples, so they can come together, share experiences, share solidarity among them, and we support them in raising their voices at international level.
Okay. Can we know how many, you work with how many people? I mean, how many different cases do you have? Can you give us some examples? And I need to know what is your work with the UN, Oxford University, and other groups of people.
So we work with over 40 nations and peoples over the world. Mostly we have a strong presence in the Asia-Pacific area. We have, for example, we work with the Uyghurs, with the Tibetans and Southern Mongolia in China. We also work, as I mentioned, with Taiwan, but we have also other people in, for example, in Pakistan, in Iran. Some of the work that we do at the UN level is really to engage with international bodies like the UN in Geneva or New York, with mostly human rights mechanisms, trying to really raise the voices when the fundamental rights of these peoples and nations are not being respected. With other partners, such as the University of Oxford, for example, what we do is we work with them in two ways. So we provide them with data of what our members are facing, so the researchers can work on it, can analyze it, can do some academic work with that, but also what they do is that they support us in providing and developing tools such as training tools. For example, we published a training tool with the University of Oxford on how to train unrepresented peoples in engaging with the UN mechanisms.
This is how you make a balance between your educational mission and the political activity, as I know. Can you elaborate more on this?
Sure. So the way we work is that we work through research, trainings and campaigns. So somehow our political activity and our research or academic activity is linked. So what we try to do is support our members in raising their voices, which means that we provide tools for them to learn how to raise these voices. This is how we do some develop trainings, but then what we do also is we do a lot of research with them, so they can, when they engage in advocacy, they can do it based in reports and with evidence.
Have you any work with the Middle East? I mean, or like, let's say the people oppressed by Iran, like with the Baluch and the Ahwazis. Any particular cases you can tell us about?
So we work in Iran particularly with the Baluch, with the with the Ahwazi Arab, and with the Kurds and Azerbaijani of Iran, exactly. So we work with all of them. We also collaborate with other groups, and we develop different campaigns. We are particularly concerned by transnational repression, which is Iran is engaging in persecution of its citizens abroad. So when our members try to raise their voices, not only in Iran, but also when they flee the country and they go to the diaspora and they try to raise their voices at the EU, for example, at EU or US here, the Iranian agencies intimidate them, including including engaging in assassinations of cases, so which is what we call it. Yes.
And is there any part of your work considering women empowerment?
Oh yeah, sure. So actually we have a campaign called Unrepresented Woman Campaign, where we particularly try to raise and support the voices of unrepresented women worldwide. Women within our communities suffer of different levels of discrimination, often because they are minorities, for example, and then because they are women within the minorities. So we relinquish with them the case, for example, of Iran, and after the movement of, exactly, the Jina Amini. So we really worked with a lot of women who engaged in the protests, and they continue to engage on defending all their rights.
Yesterday, the Senate passes an act called Mercè Act to help women and support women. Can you tell us about your visit here in DC? How do you find that the capital nation is supporting you somehow with some people you met? Can you speak about it?
So I think at the US we are finding a lot of support, in particularly in the work we do towards democratization. So democracy is a big value for us. So, and we are living now in a world where autocratic states are gaining ground. So the support of countries like the US that or others that defend democratic values and pluralistic democratic values, it is very important in a moment such as the one that we live.
Mercè, one more question. Funding this work, how do you find the support financially, especially that the people you are defending are poor, they don't have any sources. So can you tell us here how you manage that?
Yes. Unfortunately, we don't have too much resources, which is often difficult for us, but the reason why is exactly what you mentioned. Our members are often lack of a lot of resources. They contribute with a small membership, an annual membership. However, what we try to do is through our campaigns, specific campaigns that we do around a specific subjects, around, for example, environmental issues or the development of democracy and non-violence. We try to work with foundations or with other organizations that can support some specific programs that we want to develop.
My last question is, how do you make your political assessment or priorities, and how do you face some obstacles in your job to make this job successful?
So what we try to do is, because we don't have the capacities to always work in individual cases, even if we try to do that, what we try to do is look at the issues that are common, that challenges that our members are facing. For example, in most of the cases, our members are suppressed because there is an interest on the resources of their land. So the environmental issues, for example, is a key issue. Our members also share this willingness of developing, improving democracy or democratic values and engaging in a non-violence oppression, non-violence engagement against oppression. So we try, for example, to work around developing democratic values. So we really try to focus on issues that our members share and put our energy there. And the second question, sorry, can you?
The priority in your politics view, I mean, the obstacles and your priorities.
The obstacles. So the priorities are really, now we are focusing on democratic pluralism in climate change and environment, and we are also developing a campaign on identities and trying to help our members on protecting their cultures, because often they are going through assimilation processes. Yeah. So we try to defend their cultures. Are big three priorities that we are currently working. There is a lot of challenges that we face. As I said, now we live in a world that unfortunately autocratic states are raising. There is a lot of challenges of shrinking of social spaces for social civil society, which means it makes much more difficult for us to raise our voices, and often the lack of resources is also a challenge for us.
Talking about climate change, you know that United Arab Emirates hosted last year 2020 the COP28. So can you tell us how do you see this country is giving more attention to green energy, and especially the government are supporting minorities everywhere in the world?
So I think there is a lot to do yet. I think some of the decisions that were taken in the COP were a good start. I think there is a lot more that needs to be done, in particularly to protect vulnerable communities around the world, particularly indigenous minorities and marginalized people. And I think governments, they are not still there. I think there is much more engagement that needs to be done.
But COP28 was the only, the last, the only conference that make actions. It was called that, the COP of actions, not only talks.
So I think it was a good start, but I think in view of the pressing issues, in view of what we are facing now, I think we need to accelerate the decisions, and in these states have a big role. I think there is an important role that the states and multinationals and companies needs to take now. Very serious, exactly.
Mercè Monje Cano, thank you so much for your thoughtful views. You are most welcome. You are a brave woman. We are happy to have you on my show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, Maria Malouf here. Please click to like and subscribe to Maria Malouf TV YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.